thing they are insurmountable.
Okay. Haven't elaborated on Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah, Charles de Gaulle, France is an intensely nationalist state. The French are very proud of French civilization and very proud of French language and French culture and French cuisine and very proud of French women. And so when Charles de Gaulle studied the monetary system and found that it was so unjust, giving to the United States of America very transparently a massive unjust advantage over the rest of the world, he stood up in the French Parliament and gave a very powerful address criticizing all the defects in the monetary system that came out of the Bretton Woods Accord and the IMF. And then, according to the agreement that was the IMF, every government in the world had the right to take their US dollars to the United States at any time they wanted and demand that the United States redeem those dollars for gold at $35 an ounce, which is international law. Charles de Gaulle decided, well, I want to get my gold. So in September 1971, for the first time since the IMF was established in 1944-45, Charles de Gaulle invoked that provision of the treaty, and his central bank sent $3 billion to Washington and asked that it be converted to gold at the rate of $35 an ounce, which is there in the treaty. The United States realized that the game was up. If the United States had only 1 million ounces of gold, then by the law, the United States did not have the right to print more than $35 million. Because you're only allowed to print that much money which can be converted to gold at $35 an ounce. But they had printed far more than that. Suppose, Debbie, you have $1,000 in your account, and the bank gives you a checkbook, and everybody in Brunei knows Debbie. All the shops know you. Would you go and write out checks for $50,000? No, that's fraudulent. You go to jail for that. All that you have is 1,000 in your account, and you're writing checks for 50,000. But that's exactly what the US government did. They had 1,000 in gold, and they wrote out checks for 50,000. So when Charles de Gaulle said, I want my gold, the game was up. Because they didn't have the gold for all those who now come with their dollars. Saudi Arabia will come, Japan will come. So the game was up. So the United States declared in September 1971, in effect, we gave our word, but we don't have to keep it. Yes. That is the moral collapse of the United States. We gave our word under Bretton Woods. We were legally obliged, according to international law, to redeem US dollars for gold at the rate of $35 an ounce of gold to any request from any central bank. And when the first request came, they reneged on their obligations under the Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund. This is a very sad chapter in human history. Because of this unjust monetary system, this is not the only reason, but this is one of the major reasons why so many parts of the world today are not just poor, they're in a state of destitution. Yeah, destitution. Allah did not create, the one God did not create the Indonesian woman to be a slave. Did He? No. What's wrong? Why should the Indonesian people have the gentlest disposition you can find? They have the sweetest smile you can ever find, both the male and the female. They are such nice people, the Indonesian. And the Indonesian woman in particular. Why should she be a slave? Why must she be in the millions working as domestic servants for a wage which can easily be recognized as a slave wage? And the women of the region do not raise their voices to say this is wrong. This is wrong. This is unjust to be paying a slave wage. Why can't the women of Indonesia live the way the women of Brunei live, or the women of Singapore live? It is because of this unjust monetary system. Remember, I said this is not the only reason. There are other reasons as well, but this is one of the main reasons. And because of this, some are growing poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer. And their loss is the gain of others who are growing richer and richer.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. There are powerful voices in the Western world which have consistently been calling for a return to gold and silver. The most famous voice of all is that of Ron Paul, who fought as a candidate in the last presidential elections. I think he came third. Barack Obama won the election. But the popularity of Ron Paul has been growing constantly. Very large numbers of Americans now support his views, particularly on money. And he has been consistently asking that gold and silver be restored as money. And he has questioned the law in the International Monetary Fund prohibiting the gold of money. He wrote to the US Treasury Department a letter asking for an explanation why. And the US Treasury Department just would not reply to him because there is no reply. This is fraudulent, so what answer can they give? Yeah. Ron Paul is not the only. There are many others, but he is the most prominent. So it's not just Muslims. No, calling for the return of gold and silver as money. No. We are doing it because we have a religious obligation. And Brunei is a country which proclaims itself from the Sultan come down, proclaims itself to be a people in a country with a sincere attachment to Islam. If you have sincerity, you must recognize that this money is in the Quran and it is in the Sunnah of the Prophet, it is a part of the religion, and that they should come back and bring it back, and we are not doing it, it will be disgraceful for us. A major embarrassment.